you don't have a single person in this race. Maybe, I guess, George Pataki said something the other day.
Yeah.
Historically large field, right? There's some conflict about a bunch of different positions. There's no one on climate. In the entire lineup.
Yeah.
Last time around, you at least had John Huntsman, who did not fare very well, but there's not a single person who stands up there and says, yeah, it's a real big problem. We really need to address it.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham has made some
that's true.
some appropriate noises from time to time. But you're right, those who are in the top tier, if you will, are all denying the science and are seemingly afraid to break ranks with the large carbon polluters. And that it's astonishing on one level, and it's sad for our country because this is the biggest challenge that we face. We have to mobilize public opinion, and we're the only country in the world where one of the major political parties denies the reality of science. And it puts our country in a difficult situation because the kind of debate that we should be having about the best solutions, about how we can create the most jobs by installing solar panels on roofs and putting new LEDs and better windows and insulation. We could create tens of millions of new jobs if we had a legitimate debate about the best way to go about that.
You know, there's Jonathan Chait wrote this the other day. There was a study about conservative parties across the world, right? Finding that the American conservative party is the only one that sort of has this position. And, you know, you can imagine on healthcare, right? People say the market should handle this, but there's no one saying, well, no one gets sick. It just doesn't happen. That's what. Why do you have an understanding of why that is the case? What's the exceptionalism at play that?
Well, I think in some ways it's not as big a mystery as it might seem. There's an old saying in the South, if you see a turtle on top of a fence post, you can be pretty sure it didn't get there by itself. And in this case, the carbon polluters made a calculated decision quite some time ago to spend a huge amount of money putting out false ideas, creating false doubts. They took their playbook from the tobacco industry. There's a great book called Merchants of Doubt that documents this. Others have documented a big part of it. And, you know, the tobacco companies, after the Surgeon General's report came out, hired actors and dressed them up as doctors and put them in front of cameras with the script that said, I'm a doctor. You don't have to worry about any health problems from smoking cigarettes. It was a lie. They knew it was a lie. They've been held to account now, but they delayed action for 40 years. So the large carbon polluters have done essentially the same thing. And they have people pretending to be credentialed scientists in the relevant areas of science, putting out totally false information. And we now know that ExxonMobil, for example, thanks to the investigators at Inside Climate News, winners of the Pulitzer Prize, and by the way, congratulations on your Emmy for the Poverty Series.
Thank you.
But we now know from Inside Climate News that ExxonMobil, the largest of these companies, knew all the facts thoroughly as far back as 1977 and chose to put out false information or to support those who put out false information.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? That applies as a sort of theory of why American democracy is functioning the way it is, right? That applies in Germany and it applies in Australia. I mean, it applies across the globe, right? The fossil fuel companies have the same interests across the globe.